Hello, gazers.
Hello, gazers.
We're full of beans this end, aren't we?
Full of beans. Not
Full of
literally,
beans.
so we're not flatulent.
No, don't
No.
want to give you any more excuses, do we?
No, we don't.
Stink the room out.
So we have a very special episode today, don't we?
We do, yes.
Because this week on the telly are the BRIT Awards.
Yes, they are.
So we're not taking the film or TV TARDIS back in time. We're going to be hopping through time and space in the music TARDIS.
Going to be whiplashing back and forth to give you some of the BRIT Awards' most controversial moments. Now, if you're kind of Gen Xers like we are, 50-something years old, you probably remember the late 80s and the 90s as being quite a raucous, boozy event, the
Yes.
BRIT Awards, wasn't it? That it was kind of event TV that
Yes,
people tuned
yeah,
into.
yeah.
Less so these days.
Yeah.
It's become quite, shall we say, sanitised these days.
Yes, it seems a bit safe, doesn't it?
A bit sterile.
Yes, although there are still some moments which I have plucked from the ether from the more recent era to
Yeah.
discuss.
Very good. So,
But the halcyon days of rock and roll
I know.
have kind of gone.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll
Yeah.
and alcohol, throw
Yes.
all that into the mix, and
Yeah.
you get some very controversial moments.
Yes, you do. And you also get some little snapshots of what was current at the time.
Some politics thrown in.
Some politics thrown in, some comedy thrown in.
Yeah. Rock band rivalries
Oh,
come
yes.
to the fore.
Yes, we will see a couple of those. Some
Yeah.
mishaps, some controversies.
Some fashion statements.
Some fashion statements, yeah.
Yeah.
Some fashion disasters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some twattage.
Yeah. Some rock stars are real knobs, aren't they?
Yeah.
Has to be
And
said.
I always loved the BRIT Awards, and it was something you looked forward
Yes,
to, because it
it
was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But watching back some of those clips now from the other shows, it's just like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
You know, and that must be an age thing, because at the time, it was like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, if you're in your teens or your mid-20s and you love Liam Gallagher, for example, then Liam Gallagher coming on stage and saying something extremely rock and roll when you're a fan of his
Yes.
is a big event, isn't
Of course,
it? And it's hugely exciting.
Yeah.
Looking at it through 50-something-year-old eyes.
Stop saying that. Stop it.
Well, we are, darling. We've got to embrace it. Embrace it. 50 is the new 21.
That's true.
Yeah. You look at it through a 50-something-year-old's eyes and he just looks like a bit of a knob.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that word will crop up again later. So, yeah, we both loved it back in the day. I don't watch it now. I mean, I've got no idea who the acts are, who anybody is.
Like
on
two
it.
old nanas sat there, aren't we,
Really?
going, oh?
Who's this?
that?
Dane?
When we do our normal episodes and we look at the top 10 of our chosen year, the years maybe 2001 to 2005 are the kind of blurry-edged moments, aren't they, where we kind of lose track of what's going on in the pop landscape.
Yes, very
So
much.
to watch the BRIT Awards these days, although we might kind of have it in the background and skim through it, the pop acts that are on today don't necessarily resonate with us, do they?
Listen, insert, they all sound the same. I don't understand it. They all sound the same. Repeat ad infinitum for the 90 minutes it's on.
But I've watched stuff like Billie Eilish. You know,
Don't
when
try
she...
and pretend
Yeah,
you...
but I like Billie Eilish when she sings her James Bond theme.
That one James Bond
Yeah,
thing.
and then there
what's
was
her
a-
other songs?
There's a Bad Chick. Is it?
I don't...
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
I know that one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And anyway, let's not get into
Yeah,
a Billie
let's do that,
Eilish
yeah.
argument.
Eilish off.
An Eilish off.
Let's not do that.
But then like stuff like Harry Styles was on the other year, and he was really good.
I couldn't tell you a Harry Styles song ever. I know.
Could keep your finger on the pulse.
Why? My pulse is fluttery enough, thanks.
Okay, right. So what we're going to do then is I don't know what we're going to do.
You're going to give us a little potted history of the BRIT Awards.
Yeah.
Then we are going to watch. Now, we are going to put this playlist on our links so you can then watch what we're watching here and then listen to our discussion afterwards. The longest clip is like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's going to inspire some discussion about the social mores at the time, some social history as per, and just some general cattiness and bitchiness, I imagine.
Yeah. All right then, so let me give you a little potted history of what the BRIT Awards is for our international listeners. And a little refresh for our British listeners. So the BRIT Awards, often simply called the BRITs, are the British Phonographic Industry's annual Popular Music Awards. The awards were first held in 1977 and originated as an annual event in 1982. The highest profile music awards ceremony in the UK, the BRIT Awards have featured some of the most notable events in British popular culture. The BRIT Awards were broadcast live until 1989. From 1990 to 2006, the event was recorded and broadcast the following night. And from 2007, the BRIT Awards reverted to the live broadcast on British television. It's kind of like, the Brit version of the Grammys or the American Music Awards.
Exactly.
So you get the gist, right?
Yeah. So we're first going back to 1996.
Michael Jackson on stage live in London at the BRIT Awards 96 singing Earth Song.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
The sentiment of which is laudable.
Yes.
Which is destroying the planet.
The Earth is dying. It's causing hunger, starvation, death. It's causing a refugee crisis.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, very kind of commendable to be singing about that.
But the execution was just so cringe. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, I think sensibilities were a lot less complex back then.
Yes, that's a very kind way of saying
let's start that way.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson kind of appears on stage on his own singing, very all so far so good.
Yeah.
And then children and adults dressed in rags start to slowly kind of come onto the stage.
All crying, very upset.
Yes.
There's just no... It's really mawkish.
Yeah, it's very earnest.
Michael Jackson is the Messiah, clearly.
Very, very much got a Messiah complex going on at this point. He's attained that level of, well, I would say superstardom, but...
He is absolute superstar.
But also notoriety as well. This is after, all the initial allegations came out about Michael Jackson. Yes, they came out in kind of like the early 90s.
Right.
And it's this very much him trying to remould his image.
Right, as the benevolent father of everybody.
Yeah.
So, we get Dickensian urchins, basically. Yeah. We get very concerned, crying-looking people. He keeps grabbing his crotch.
Yes.
Despite being the Messiah.
With that, yes.
Yeah. I always found that a bit weird, the Michael Jackson crotch grab. I don't know what it was about.
Well, we could probably do a whole episode on crotch grabbing in pop music.
Yes, because.
So basically what happens then is halfway through the song, he jumps on a crane and, kind of starts flying over the audience, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
And meanwhile, back on stage with all the street urchins and the refugees and the very sad... starving and hungry,
crying
dispossessed people.
Yes, yeah.
Walks on the lead singer of a British rock/indie band called Pulp.
Yeah.
He's called Jarvis Cocker.
Yes.
A very unscheduled appearance by Jarvis Cocker.
Yes. And then proceeds to circumnavigate the side of the stage and come in front of everybody. First of all, did he raise a salute to Michael Jackson or something?
Yes,
first?
and then he's kind of very performatively looking very confused up at Michael Jackson on this crane, thinking, what is going on here? What is this signifying?
Yeah.
Just like a very look of confusion.
Interestingly, the camera stays on Jarvis Cocker.
Yes.
Michael's up on the cherry picker, the crane.
Yeah. We don't really know what Michael's doing at this point.
Because the camera is only interested in Jarvis Cocker, who then proceeds to turn away from the audience. And does he pull a Mooney? Does he actually?
Well, no. He kind of he bends over, shows his trousered bum, but then kind of flaps his hands as if
he's
to
farting.
say. Well, I think as if to say, this is shit. He's talking out of his arse. This is all hot air. What?
Well, he said afterwards it was a protest because he was looking at Michael Jackson. Clearly, he was thinking he's the Messiah.
Yeah.
Thinking, who the bloody hell are you?
Yeah.
And that was what it was about.
Yeah.
And then there proceeds almost a comedy chase around the stage. At one point, I don't know if you noticed, you see him run back across the back of the stage.
I think one security man comes up, tries to manhandle him off, and when that doesn't work, one of the extras, dressed as a shabby refugee, tries to rugby tackle him as well and try to get him off stage.
Yeah.
It all descends into kind of this chaotic, funny, comedic Benny Hill sketch kind of thing.
Really. You could put yakety sax over it and it would just fit perfect. Really. Yeah. I think, thank God it happened.
Yes.
Because it was so... Do you know what? It was so hubristic. It wasn't it? It was just... And it was so serious. up his own arse.
Yeah.
You know, really up his
Yeah.
own. And then so Jarvis goes off stage and it gets really boring again.
Yeah.
Michael comes down from the crane, and then I said to you, didn't I say to you, if they all start cheering at the end and clapping because
Yeah.
Michael saved them,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my foot through the telly.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Michael takes off his coat to reveal his white outfit underneath.
Yeah.
Like an angel, you might say. And everyone else starts to disrobe themselves of their shabby robes, and they've all
Yes.
got nice clothes on. And then they all come to Michael and kiss his hand.
Yes,
and
and there's a lot of hugging of children going on.
a lot of hugging of children. Some
Yes.
very earnest child actors in there.
Yes, all that quite inappropriate knowing what we do
Yes, really.
now, having a much fuller picture of.
Yeah,
what
but Michael
went on.
will also kiss every kind of religion. Queer, we get a
Yes.
rabbi who gets kissed from Michael, you know,
Yes.
because Michael can heal everything.
Yeah.
And
And then towards the end of the 10-minute performance,
10 minutes.
Michael starts giving a very earnest speech to music, doesn't he?
Yeah.
About the rainforest being destroyed.
Yeah.
And then goes on to talk about world hunger, where he talks about how every minute 3 million children die.
Yeah. Now,
He made a faux pas. He
pas.
stumbled his lies, because then he went on to correct himself and says every minute 300 children die from,
yes.
you know, which obviously is a sad statistic, but much more reasonable statistic than what he initially suggested.
Yes. And then exit stage after everybody's gone off and it's just him. Michael Jackson has saved the world. We can all breathe easy. Nearly 30 years later, we're in a much better place because of what Michael's just done. So thank you, Michael. We should preface this, but if there are any fans of any of the acts we're going to be talking about, we can only apologise. But come on, that was so taking yourself far too seriously.
It was. Let's get back in our time machine and whoosh. to a different year.
Right, well, whoosh in, hold on, to 1988. I'm obviously thrilled about this one. Right, Dave, what have we just watched?
So we've just watched, I feel a bit hot under the collar,
Very
actually.
hot under the collar. This seat is sopping.
I have to hose us down in a minute. Wow. So, yes, Bananarama in a performance of Love in the First Degree from the BRIT Awards of 1988.
Yes, in which the three girls are surrounded by 20, 30 men in
black loincloths. Yes.
Very greased up.
Yeah.
Dancing around them.
Yeah, very muscular men.
Very muscular. I mean, quite gorgeous men.
Very, very gorgeous men.
Oh, dear.
Okay. So we're looking at this now in 2025, and I would look at that and say, okay, that's the performance. Muscular men in loincloths. Fair enough, fine. Next. But how is this significant?
Significant because it was quite controversial to see so many men sexually objectified in such a way. And you can trace a through line of when this happens in the 80s from Nick Cayman in the Levi adverts, stripping down to his boxer shorts. And from that point on, advertisers note that the male body in its glory can be just as much of a marketing tool and something to create a spectacle as the female body, to be objectified like women have done. So the year after Nick Cayman, The Sun introduces its page 7 fella to go in line with its page 3 girls.
Yeah.
And this performance is just, I thought, a nice snapshot of this moment when the male body is starting to be also put on display in a way that the female body always had been.
I see.
And the girls were riffing on this completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully clothed, very modestly
Fully clothed, yes.
The three girls, weren't they?
Yes,
looking absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, yeah.
But not bearing much flesh compared to their male counterparts.
No. And it was Siobhan's last show, so they wanted to go out with a bang.
Yes.
And they certainly did. And this was very much a talking point the next day. It was also one I'd recorded on VHS and watched again.
To wear it out. Well, especially when they all get down on their knees and start.
God, yeah, the tracking
pumping.
Went a bit funny at that point.
Yeah, they start pumping their loins.
This was very much not an awakening, but a consolidation of all my years of underwear pages of catalogue models and stuff.
Oh, well, we've moved on a page.
This was writ large.
Yes. This was 2 years before Justify My Love video, where there were various muscular men.
Yes.
Being objectified.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Very similar experience with my VHS of that. And was it controversial?
Yes. Not so much controversial as in they didn't get slagged off for it.
Yeah.
It certainly raised eyebrows.
Well, it's in the Royal Albert Hall as well.
Royal Albert
A very
Hall,
kind of like national institution there, isn't it?
Yeah. And I quite like the fact the girls are making no show that they're actually singing live.
No, as per usual.
Karen's on the chewing gum.
Yeah.
The song just fades out. They're like, that'll do.
I did note that they're wearing flat shoes, trainers, which is probably quite good because they do run down some steps at one point.
Yes, they do.
That's not the moment you want to take a tumble down some steps, is
No,
it?
we might be taking a tumble down some steps a bit later, darling.
I'll broken out into like cold sweat again now.
So yes, that was fun.
Yes,
that was
very fun.
I thought just a nice little tell of how sexual mores are changing at this point in time.
Yes, very interesting, very interesting. Shall we get back into our time machine?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're now fast forwarding to 2012 for a very little short snippet.
Okay, so that was a very quick clip, wasn't it?
Yes,
Adele.
Adele.
Winning Best Album at the 2012 BRIT Awards. Comes on stage to make her speech. It's the denouement of the event, the best album. And Adele's won, obviously. Comes on, makes this speech saying how proud she is to be British after coming back and winning 5 Grammys in America. Obviously, the 2012 is a very good time to be British, I would say. Britain's flying high, hosting the Olympics. Feels like Britain's on riding a wave, isn't it? So, and then what happens?
So then she's just started her speech and James Corden, the host, comes on and basically says, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I'm doing this. He says, you've got to cut me off. He says, I've got to cut you off. And she goes, clearly rattled.
Yes.
And she goes, well, just before I go, so thank you, I love you very much. And then she flips the bird, she sticks up the middle finger to what she says are the suits running the show. It's not the fans, and clearly not the fans.
Yes.
And then James Corden says, right, now we've got Blur, and that's it.
Yeah,
Done.
so Blur are the final act, aren't they? So obviously, running short for time, gets the final award, Adele comes up, no time for a speech, thank you very much, Adele, see you later.
Yes, and I think this is interesting because it smackers of the kind of commercialism of the whole thing now. It's the MasterCard album of the year. MasterCard, a logo emblazoned in the background. This is when the criticisms of it being a kind of corporate event are coming in. And she gets a bit of stick for it the next day in the press.
Right.
Because she's flipped the bird. Whenever Adele's criticised, there's always an element of working classism going on about her, because Adele, by her own admission, and we love her because she's common.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about her. But to be criticised for flipping the bird just shows again how the standards have got a bit more, we can't do anything to rock the boat at all now. It's got to be very, very safe.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel as though the press just grasp at things to be able to write about them. I mean, I doubt there was a huge amount of pearl clutching about Adele flipping the bird.
No, not
but
at all.
It's a story. And then there's kind of like the constant news cycle now. Every little tiny thing has to become a story to hook readers in, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's like the Daily Mail sidebar of shame.
Yes.
It's got the most innocuous, vacuous, ridiculous, tiny stories flammed up into something major.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Ready to get in the TARDIS again?
Yes, here we go.
Let's skip forward 6 years to 2018.
We've just watched Stormzy, Blinded by Your Grace, Part 2, and Big for Your Boots. So it's kind of like a medley of his hits there, live at the BRIT Awards in 2018.
Yeah.
Now, I know he said that post kind of 2001-ish, it all became a little bit more sanitised and careful. This performance is anything but that, isn't it?
Yeah.
First of all, I thought that was a storming presentation, staging. In my opinion, an amazing performance there, Stormzy.
Yeah.
And it got really political at one point.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it did. Because the Grenfell tragedy has happened not long before this.
Yeah.
There is a palpable sense of anger in his words, isn't there, about the injustice of it. And he talks about how people should be in prison for it, which they fucking should, And also it speaks to that whole experience that, again, we can't talk about the experience of people of colour because we're white and we're white men of a certain age. But you got a sense of what his experience was and what the experience of a lot of black people in the face of racism is, and people of colour in the face of racism is. I think this is the moment Stormzy becomes a bit of a national treasure, isn't it? And he talks about how he's woke and he doesn't give a fuck about being woke, you know, and it was such a powerful, but it didn't feel like it was excluding anybody. If anything, it was a call to arms for everybody to fix up. And
he talks about there's nothing wrong with being woke.
Yeah.
He talks about Theresa May and the Grenfell disaster, sings directly to Theresa May, who was the then Prime Minister of the UK, saying, how would you feel if it was your house that burnt down?
Yeah.
So really political moments, and sung in quite a forthright manner.
Yes.
Was just so effective. It was like an assault on your senses. It was amazing. And also, just on a more superficial level, if I may.
Yes,
beautiful man.
Yes, beautiful man. Absolutely. And interesting, the reaction in the press was on his side.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have happened 20 years before.
No.
It would have been, here's a black man getting above his station, probably. Yeah. And the song's called Too Big for Your Boots, which is about that, you know, and he talks about he gets criticised for having a penthouse, for having the stuff that white successful people don't get criticised for in a way that black successful people do. And it still happens. You know, they still pull footballers down who dare to buy their mum a new house, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's still so much injustice, but I just thought this was such a...
It was visceral, wasn't it?
Visceral, yeah.
Like raw emotion, and they could tell it was coming straight from inside him.
Yes.
Wasn't like superficial lyrics that he'd made up that didn't relate to anybody or to him. Yeah. It was like so personal. It was poetry, if you want to get arty-farty about it.
Absolutely.
A political statement.
And a lot of that music is, and a lot of rap music was, you know, the lyricism about a lot of it, that people who just read the Daily Mail, who he also name checks, don't get, because they just see stories about gangs and knife crime and all this stuff, when actually there's so much depth to it and so much... I mean, I don't listen to it, but when you do listen to it, you listen to the words or you see the words, you're like, wow, that's genuinely artistic, isn't it?
Yeah. Where are we off next?
Oh, wow. We are going to the turn of the century for the year 2000. We're going from the sublime, possibly to the ridiculous, I think. So let's have a little look, should we? Right, what have we just watched there, Dave?
We've just watched a performance by Jerry Halliwell, formerly of the Spice Girls, a performance of a song called Bag It Up, live at the BRIT Awards 2000.
A feminist statement about inequality between the sexes and breaking down the sexual barriers. No, it wasn't at all.
Wow.
I mean...
Okay, right, let's be nice.
Let's be nice.
Remember Shirley from Creative?
Yes,
she'll be on the phone.
And to my absolute discredit, I bought this album.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was a little bit into Jerry after the Spice Girls.
Yeah, yeah.
The veil quickly lifted.
Controversial because, performance-wise, it started off with two giant inflatable women's legs closed, and then the legs parted to reveal scantily clad male dancers, and Jerry Halliwell astride a pole.
Yes, yeah. Not doing very much, to be honest.
Jerry Halliwell is not doing very much. She's miming. She's got a very, I would say, sedate outfit on, just all black.
Yeah.
Choreography-wise...
She just walks up and down.
Just walks up and down and waves her hands in the air.
The dancers doing a lot of the heavy lifting here.
Now, I think this performance, visually, is a brilliant performance. It's stunning. You know, the light show, the staging, the dancing, the song in itself, all combined make a really striking performance.
Yes.
But at the heart of it is something quite...
Empty,
I would say.
It's vacuous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's trying to make a statement about femininity, treat him like a lady, but it just doesn't quite... It's just superficial, isn't it? It's just...
it's not really a feminist call to arms, is it?
No, not at all.
It's frothy. For me, it feels like a little bit of a letdown because the Spice Girls kind of burst onto the scene. You know, you can talk for hours and hours about what girl power meant and whether it was significant, whether it was cynical marketing ploy, whatever, but it felt as though the Spice Girls launched themselves onto the world and started a conversation.
Yes.
Whereas this didn't really say anything, or the messaging was really confused. Yeah.
And interesting, looking at the Bananarama one, surrounded by scantily clad males, and then this one, surrounded by scantily clad males, we've become so used to the sight of scantily clad males by this point. It's just another set dressing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, not one to put on our top 10.
No. We won't be going back in the charters to revisit that one, darling, will we? No. Okay, where are we going next? We are going to, actually, the same ceremony.
Oh.
A little bit of controversy in the actual hosting and award giving.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's have a little look.
Okay, so we've just watched a little video. Still trying to process exactly,
what we've just seen.
What went on. But so this was basically the BRIT Awards 2000, and
same year as Jerry.
Same year as Jerry, and it was the award for best soundtrack. So Davina McCall, who's presenting, introduces Rolling Stones' Ronnie Wood and American actor Thora Birch to present the award.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good. Oh, we're in sync, aren't we? And then they go to kind of like, cutaway of all the nominees, etc. Yeah. And then we cut back to Ronnie Wood and Thora Birch about to present the award. There's a strange man stood next to them, isn't there?
Yes, there is. No one knows who he is. Davina asks him who he is. And he says, it's Brandon Block, who was a DJ.
He was a DJ, I think.
DJ and a record producer.
Yes.
And she goes, all right, thanks, mate. And then Ronnie Wood tells him to fuck off, you C-word.
Yes.
He's being bundled off.
Yeah.
Brandon Block comes back. What did you call me? Ronnie Wood throws his drink on his face, and then there's a scuffle.
There's a scuffle and a brawl.
Ronnie Wood quickly hides behind Thora Bird. That
would have been a whole different scandal.
Thora Bird, could you imagine? And he's shouting over her shoulder, "Oh, fuck off!" Yeah. And I mean,
it was just chaos, wasn't it? I mean, that kind of epitomises. The
rock and roll,
and the chaos of how the BRIT Awards could be at times.
And it also just showed when blokes get their backs up sometimes.
All posturing. Yeah, it's like when two dogs have a go at each other. They don't actually make physical contact, but they're just posturing, aren't they?
Yeah, and as soon as they're allowed to make contact, they both go, all right, sorry, everybody. Yeah. It was just sort of lads, stop saying who can piss up the urinal the highest.
Yeah, it was pathetic, really. I mean, fair play to Ronnie Wood. Well within his rights to call him whatever he wants to, and this guy's just basically got up on live television and tried to. And
Ronnie Wood thinks that he's part of the Notting Hill team, which is why he's just like, and then he realises he's not. Why Brandon Block's got up there, we don't know. Not particularly edifying, was it?
No, not really. But actually quite nice to see the person who came up to collect the award on behalf of Notting Hill, which was Emma Chambers, who's a British actor, also famous for her role as Alice in The Vicar of Dibley, who sadly passed away far too young. And was just a real star, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She came up to accept the award at the end. Yeah. Okay, let's move onwards and upwards. Let's get back into our time machine, shall we? Where are we going next?
We're going to 2010 now for a very, very short snippet. In a similar kind of vein to what we've just watched, actually.
Okay, so what have we just watched?
We've just watched Liam Gallagher being a bit of a twat and then going off stage. Apparently he's done that for several minutes, just milked it and just being a twat. Right. Peter Kay, the host, comes on and just says, what a knobhead. End of.
Gotta love Peter Kay, haven't you?
Gotta love Peter Kay. Again, just more of that posturing, that swagger, that kind of machismo nonsense, cut down to size,
Yes, no need for it. I mean, it's like a rock and roll swagger, isn't it? It's kind of like flicking the V's at the establishment.
But is it though?
No, it's not.
It's not like burning your hands on your guitar, is it? Like Jimi Hendrix?
No, it's not. It's just performative. A little bit sad, really, I would say.
A little bit sad.
Let's move on.
Yeah, move on. Crashing on. Okay, we're now going back in time to 1992.
Oh, when we were mere babes.
Mere babes. Still flicking myself
/ at university.
Yeah. Also still flicking myself off for that Bananarama video from 4 years previously.
Don't ask me what I've just watched, because I've got no idea.
I think it was like Klingons from Star Trek The Next Generation. It was basically KLF, who we know from such dance classics as 3am Eternal, Doctor and the TARDIS.
Justified and Ancient.
Yes.
With Tammy
Wynette.
Yeah.
And this was their swan song. Very open about making money. Their Doctor in the TARDIS song, which sampled the Doctor Who theme in 1988, got to #1. And they wrote a book about how to get a #1 single.
Yeah.
So they were very in on the joke, very ironic. And
it was quite performance arty in a way, wasn't it?
Yes. So for their final show, they decided to team up with a thrash metal band called Extreme Noise Terror, who were a genuine band, to perform... I couldn't tell what it was.
Noise.
A noise.
Yes.
A noise, basically. I mean...
Yeah. It's kind of I don't know if you remember that rock group from Scandinavia, Lordi.
Yes.
You know, it's just very much just kind of uttering sounds into a microphone to a just chaotic drum and guitar.
Yeah, sounds like...
soundtrack.
Sounds like that. Yeah, it was pretty much it, wasn't it? Yeah.
But then what's controversial about that?
Well, towards the end of the song, the lead singer of KLF then has a gun and fires blanks across the heads of the audience, an actual firearm on stage.
A machine gun.
Yes, a machine gun. As he's leaving, what we didn't hear, he said, that's KLF music career over, we're done. And then in protest, the whole kind of nonsense of the music industry, then drop a dead sheep's carcass outside the venue, which I believe was the Albert Hall again. So a statement.
A statement, yes.
A statement, but also quite dangerous.
Well, also, I think if you're in the front row of that audience, probably quite scary to see this man firing a machine gun towards you.
Really? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine, each to their own, one man's performance art and all that kind of stuff. But, well, yes.
Would it have killed it to justify an ancient?
You know what?
Would it?
No. BRIT will Tammy Wynette on.
Yeah.
You know.
Other than that.
Good. Yeah.
I wasn't impressed.
No.
We definitely will not be revisiting that one.
No.
Anyway, next, let's try and sanitise that from our brains. And we're going to have a little bit of comedy gold now. We're going to 1997, hosted by Ben Elton. Just a little piece that's gone down in BRIT Awards legend.
Oh.
Yes.
How lovely.
Yes.
What a nice little palate cleanser after the
Yes.
KLF.
Yeah.
This is Mrs. Merton, which was a comedy character created by the wonderful Caroline Aherne.
Yeah.
For anybody in our international listeners who don't know who that is, please look her up. She's a national treasure. Again, somebody who was taken too soon.
Far too soon.
Far too soon. Absolute comedy genius. So anyway, the character, Mrs. Merton, comes on and she's chatting to Ben Elton. She's famous for her sweet old lady persona, coupled with very withering put-downs.
Yes.
She starts to put down in a very, very nice way the host, Ben Elton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Questioning his presenting style.
Yes.
And then what does she do?
And then she wants a call to proceedings because she's worried it's Charlie around because everybody is looking for Charlie. She says backstage are looking for Charlie, in the toilets are looking for Charlie. So if Charlie's here, can he make himself known? Charlie, of course, being a slang word for cocaine.
Yes.
And obviously the music industry is...
Yes.
It's often associated with cocaine usage. Yeah. And this was unscripted. You can see Ben Elton slightly panicking behind the eyes. Was very funny. And again, controversial. How dare she?
How dare she?
You know.
How dare she? Hugely funny, very British humour.
Yeah, puncturing the bubble of it all.
Yes.
Don't take it so seriously, please.
Absolutely, yes. We salute you, Caroline Aherne and Mrs. Merton.
Absolutely we do. There seems to be a bit of a common theme about some of the Brit Awards back in the day, and this is Larry Boys, basically. So here's the final example for the day for this episode of Larry Boys.
Are we jumping back into our time machine?
Yes, we are. We're going to 2000 again. The same awards with Brandon Block, the same awards with Jerry Halliwell. It's a packed show that year.
So this is the BRIT Awards 2000, presented by Davina McCall, who I have to say, in a jam-packed year of controversy, she's doing an amazing job holding everything together.
Really
what a consummate professional she is. Caroline Aherne and Craig Cash, who star in The Royal Family, they come on to present an award for Oh, Freudian slip there. For Best British Single.
You're obsessed.
I know, obsessed. Boobs. Best British Single. And they come on and they go through all the nominations. And lo and behold, Robbie Williams, who was at the peak of his fame at this time, or one of the peaks of his fame, wins for a song called She's the One. So he comes on stage, full of swagger, comes on, accepts the award, and then what does he do?
He then challenges Liam Gallagher to a fight and says, if he puts 100 grand up and Liam Gallagher puts 100 grand up, they could have a fight on television and they could all watch it. And then he says, what did he say? He said, are you up for it? Or are you
Or are you going to pussy out like the wimp you are?
Yeah, I mean...
Again, it's all very performative. You know, it's just rock star swagger, bravado.
Yeah.
You know, one-upmanship. Yeah. I'm the best. I've got more Brit Awards than you. Kind of vibe going on. You know, looking at it through our eyes now, 25 years later, it's all just a little bit dull and tedious. But at the time, rock and roll.
Rock and roll. But, you know, it just begs the question, you know, if men were constantly trying to piss up the urinal the highest against each other, do you think the world would be in the state we're in now?
No. No.
If those big businessmen who are destroying the planet with oil and stuff are not trying to be in competition with their competitors, you know, do you think we'll be in the state we're in, you know?
Who knows? Who knows? But actually, this does remind me of the Spice Girls one year came on. I don't know if it was prior to this or after this.
I think it was 97, I think.
Liam Gallagher from Oasis had got a lot to say about the Spice Girls. So as they were accepting an award, Mel C pipes up, Liam, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Yeah. And I think that was a better statement than what Robbie just did.
Absolutely.
But again, I have got a soft spot for Mel C.
So have I. But that was just, again, hubris, isn't it? It's just like, stop taking yourself so bloody seriously, you know. And Liam Gallagher then said, I saw an interview, he went, oh, well, if he wasn't such a twat or something like this, you know. Clearly, again, like two dogs, if you put them face to face, they'd be like, all right, Robbie, hi, Liam, you're all right. You know.
Yeah.
Boys, just stop it, will you? Okay, now we're going to 1989, the infamous year when Samantha Fox and Mick Fleetwood are presenting the awards.
Special mention,
friend of the pod, Sam Fox.
Yes.
But, of course, this is a year when everything that can go wrong goes wrong. It's the most shambolic, disorganised. Unfortunately, the whole thing is not available on YouTube, but the clips are. But the auto cue wasn't working.
No.
Sam Fox and Mick Fleetwood have never presented before. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea.
It looks like they'd never even met before they walked on stage together.
No charisma at all. No chemistry between them.
Sam Fox, very, very short. Mick Fleetwood, very, very tall. Just a very odd pairing.
Yeah, really odd pairing. And this is an important moment, we can say again, as part of LGBT History Month. We're going to see who's going to win the best group that year, with a little bit of shambles thrown in as well, darling, just to keep it fresh.
Okay, let's do it. From 1989, the questionable presenting style of Samantha Fox and Mick Fleetwood. First of all, they introduced the Four Tops, and on walks Boy George.
Yeah, and this is after Samantha Fox saying, the Four Tops, you know, a couple of times.
Yeah, Boy George walks on and says, I'm not the Four Tops, I'm the One Top.
Never said that before.
Again, Boy George just being quick as a flash. Just so pin sharp, isn't he?
You can imagine backstage someone's going, George, can you get on? Just do it, George. Do it, George. Yeah. And the award is given to Erasure. And it looks innocuous now and not mean anything, but Andy Bell comes on stage looking amazing in his gold glittery jacket and kisses Boy George and wants to do that as a deliberate protest against the introduction of Clause 28, which had just been brought in by the Thatcher government, which prevented any kind of promotion, in quotation marks, of homosexuality or anything
in
gay
schools
in
as
schools.
well.
Yeah. So basically, if you were being bullied as a kid and you went to your teacher couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't be sympathetic, do nothing. And he said it was a really important statement. And again, we talked about in our Naked Civil Servant episode, you know, to see men kissing on TV was very unusual.
Yeah.
EastEnders has done the gay kiss, which has been a huge controversy.
Yeah, that was just 2 years prior to this, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here we are, and Andy Bell just plants a smacker on George's cheek.
Yeah.
That's it, done. But a telling moment, I think.
Yes. Was it controversial? Was it reported in the papers at the time?
Do you know, it wasn't really, surprisingly, because I think it was overshadowed by the whole shambles.
It was just one of many moments in the 1989 Brit Awards.
Far too many to get your knickers in a twist about, you know. But unfairly, as we would expect, most of the press vitriol is directed at Samantha Fox and not Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and he's just as shit as she
Yes.
is, bless them.
And also, I feel as though they're done a disservice, really, because it's obviously the backstage chaos that is projecting onto those two. They can only respond to what they're being fed in their ears. You know, you can question their presenting style. They're obviously very mismatched and everything. But again, you know, like you say, directed towards Sam Fox. But we know from past experience on this podcast, she's extremely articulate. She's really switched on.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think poor Sam Fox in that moment.
Yeah, and the bloody auto cue's not working. You know what you're supposed to do.
If they're being told that the Four Tops are going to come on and Boy George comes on, it's not their fault, is it?
No, exactly.
Hey ho. Okay, let's jump back into our time machine, shall we?
And it's our final clip.
Oh.
Now, I want you to prepare yourself for this, Dave. We have not watched this together since we were in our living room in the flat we used to share, Kensal Rise, northwest London. And this is from 2015. 10 years ago we lived together.
I can't believe that.
Wow.
I can't believe that. Still can't shake you off.
No, clamp it.
Yeah.
This was the big comeback for Our Lady Madonna. You were beside yourself. It was like me when Doctor Who came back. You were beside yourself. Try and compose yourself.
Okay.
You were so ready for this. And we were very excited watching it. I was gathering up the infectious of your excitement.
Yes.
And, well,
I was like a hen in a hot girdle.
like a hen in a hot girdle. Couldn't bear yourself.
Come on, Madge. I mean, because she'd been at the BRIT Awards only once before. So this is her big return to the Brits stage.
Yes.
With new album to promote, new song to promote.
Yep.
Had done the Grammys already, gone without a hitch.
Yes.
Cut to.
Right, Dave. Are you okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just...
I gave you a trigger warning, for God's sake.
It's just still very raw for me. I know it's been 10 years, but I've still got a bit of PTSD from it, I think.
Do you need a break? Do you need a break? Are you okay to carry on?
Let's plough on. If this is the last one, then that's fine. I think I can keep going until the end.
Some people could say it was cruel of me to save that till the end, but I didn't want you to be like this for the rest of the recording.
I know you. You are cruel, so I just...
So what happens, Dave?
Okay, so...
What just happened?
So this is live at the BRIT Awards 2015, Madonna performing Living for Love. She comes on to great fanfare in a cloak.
A long cloak.
A long cloak.
Like a Princess Diana wedding dress train cloak.
Yes, with a hood up. Obviously arrives...
Looking a bit Scottish Widow.
Yes, she does. Yeah,
Traitors.
she does.
Is that she's on the Traitors?
She looks like she's on the Traitors going up to the tower, doesn't she? And then she climbs these steps onto her platform and pulls her hood off, starts singing the song. And then I believe what is supposed to happen is two dancers who are holding the end of the cape pull it off her, and she's revealed in her outfits, and then carries on singing.
Yeah.
What actually did happen is you can see her reaching for her little tie, her little ribbon to undo her cloak. So when the dancers pull her off, it slides off effortlessly. Ribbon gets stuck, ties into a knot. The dancers yank the cape, and Madonna goes tumbling down the stairs with it.
She actually misses the stairs, thankfully, and just flies through the air and lands with some considerable thud.
I mean, the microphone thumps on the floor as well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
right on her arse, thankfully.
If that happened to me or you at the age we are now, never mind at 55 years old where she was then.
She's 55. She's older than us now, and she looks amazing.
Yeah.
She's got it. I mean, God, compared to Jerry Halliwell's performance, you know, 15 years earlier, she's as stiff as a board, bless her. Madonna, wow. But yeah, I mean,
brilliant.
It was.
She said at the time that because she fell off her horse a few years prior to that, she's very well used to taking falls and knows how to fall.
To land.
Don't go rigid.
Yeah.
Just let it happen, fall into it. So that's what she did in that moment. I suspect that she knew it was going to happen before it happened because she couldn't get her ribbon undone.
Yeah.
So she thought this is going to happen.
What I loved about it is that she lands, there's like a little from the audience. She gets up and she's smiling to herself. Yeah. It's almost like she's like, well, there we go. Yeah. She gets up, she walks back up the stairs, and she belts up one of the first lines she sings is "Catch Me When I Fall," ironically.
Yes.
But cracks straight on, trooper. Yeah. Absolutely cracks straight on.
Absolutely. And I remember at the time shouting, "Get up, just get up, get up," don't you?
I remember you shouting.
Yeah, and I could see Lee out the corner of my eye and his shoulders were shaking. I think he was just laughing at me rather than laughing at Madonna.
I wasn't laughing at Madonna, I was laughing at your...
I'm glad this makes you titter even now.
It still makes me titter because you looked so crestfallen. You were like a little, and you looked at me. You went, "What happened?" You know, and then you go, "Get up, get up,
get up,
get up, Madonna."
And then I said later on, that is why she's the queen.
Yes, the queen of pop.
Yeah,
and it's true.
No, she's just the queen.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Okay,
Yeah, just the queen of life, of the world. Yeah, I mean,
like Michael fucking Jackson.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, like I say, us at our age, if we'd got dragged down the stairs like that, we'd either be dead.
Oh my God!
Or I would just crawl off and
after
say, that's it, I'm not doing it now.
After my tumble on Clapham High Road in December, I'm still aching from that, and she was 3 years older than us.
Do you know what I mean? She. I mean, in that moment,
Wow.
you know, I mean, there was the inevitable memes going round, wasn't there?
Obviously,
because, obviously, if something like that's going to happen, then it is going to go around the world.
Yeah.
Thing. But I don't think anybody looks back on her now thinking that was a major embarrassment for her, because she literally got back up and completed the song.
Yeah. If ever there was a metaphor for Madonna, right there in it.
Resilience.
Yeah. So that was it. That was our final little TARDIS trip.
Do you know what I really, really enjoyed? Going backwards and forwards. And do you know what it's taught me?
Men are dicks.
Male rock stars can be dicks at times. But I think what it's taught me is that I am going to watch the BRIT Awards this week.
Are you?
Because if something like a Stormzy rocks up...
Yes, a Jerry.
Jerry Halliwell. There's always something that could happen, because it is broadcast live.
Yeah.
So even though it might be heavily sanitised, and I think Jack Whitehall's presenting this year, and he's a good one.
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah.
He injects a bit of personality and humour and warmth into it. And wit.
Yeah.
So that's one positive thing already about it. Yeah, you never know what might happen. There might be a bit of controversy, or there might be really well designed, well lit, good
great
set pieces, great performances.
Yeah.
So let's give it a go. You're going to give it a go?
I might give it a go now then. But the thing is, I haven't got the facility to record it and then just flick through the songs I don't like. Or the songs I don't know. So I'd have to watch it live.
Well, I suppose you can always watch performances on social media lately, which a lot of these... Nobody really watches the Grammys anymore, or even the Academy Awards anymore. You just watch the clips after.
It's true.
So yes, anyway.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
Good, and I hope you enjoyed it as well, listeners.
Yes.
And obviously, if you've got any of your favourite Brit moments, do let us know on our socials. We'd love to hear them. If we've missed any out that you think we should have included. There's no footage of John Prescott getting soaked by Chumbawamba, unfortunately.
No. We didn't have time to feature Jerry Halliwell's Union Jack dress.
No, not really controversial anyway, was it? There's lots of other stuff out there, so I'm sure. I mean, there's a whole ton of Samantha Fox and Mick Fleetwood just going wrong.
And please do remember, what we'll do is in our show notes, we'll put the links to every single performance that we've reviewed and watched in this episode.
So if you want to watch them and then listen to our little chat afterwards as you go along, please do.
We've got interactive.
We've got interactive.
Oh.
That were virtual.
Speaking of award ceremonies, next week we're edging ever closer to the Academy Awards, the Oscars.
We are.
So what are we going to do next week?
I'm very excited about next week.
Yeah.
Next week we're looking at The Substance from 2024, which ties in with a lot of what we talk about, and especially old women and how they get treated. I've seen it. It's a horror film, but it's good. Yeah. And it's really, really a strong allegorical message in it. I think you'll like it.
Great. It stars Demi Moore, who is nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress for her performance in this film. So
has already won the Golden Globe for it.
Yes.
Very unusual for a horror film to get nominated, and even for an actor to get nominated to win. She won't win because it's a horror film and the Academy.
Well, you never know. I mean, look, the contender pool has been diminished due to the scandal of the leading actress from Emilia Perez.
Yes, so who knows?
Yes, exactly. So let's see. And obviously, by the time it goes out, the Oscars will have happened. So we'll give a little commentary on what we've seen at the Oscars as well. Yeah. There may be a controversial one. Might have a Will Smith moment again.
Yes,
you never know.
You never know.
Or we might have a streaker. Like, remember when David Niven was presenting an Oscar?
Yes, 1972, 71, I think.
Wow, your knowledge.
Yeah.
You're just like, brain is like a memory bank.
I know.
Yeah. Put me to shame. Can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So anyway, yes, tune in next week where we'll be reviewing The Substance.
Yeah. Right, I'm off to find Charlie in the toilet, darling. What are you doing?
All right then. Yeah, and I'm just going to go and adjust my cape before I go on stage.
Be careful with that.
I will. I won't tie it too tight.
They've got form.
Yeah, got form. Before we go, please don't forget to click that follow button. Very important. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Podcast Gaze. And if you want to email us, suggest future topics or comment on what you've heard, then please email us at theproblematicgaze@gmail.com.
So until next week, Dave.
Until next week.
Au reservoir.
Au reservoir.